selling info is a system. And so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to optimize the system. Now, when you think of a system, like a system has three fundamental components. The first one is, let's say, inputs, like what do you input into the system. The second one is that inputs get filtered through and passed through the processes, like what actually happens. And then there's the outputs. We all know about it. Well, we've all watched Sam Ovens. So you think about an info system or a content system, whatever it is. The output is, probably cache, right? That's what you want. That's the goal of the system. So what are the processes? Well, the processes are the actual content you're putting out. So this is like, say, YouTube video that you're putting out. Pretty simple. Now, what are the inputs of the system? What do you actually think about to create content? Have you ever thought about it? Well, it's like, oh, I need to make the content valuable. I need to create trust. I need to pre-handle objections. You think about all things, I need to create like good hooks, whatever it is. But think about all those things. But all those, they're very, very, very surface level. You're not getting to the deep root of things. What are all those things based on? Well, fundamentally, there's only two things that you input into your content system to get cash. There's just, let me write this down. There is your expertise. That's the first thing. There's your expertise, like what do you actually know? And what info do you have to solve problems? And then there is simply your ICP. It is literally as simple as that. That's literally all there is to it. And so the reason this is important, primarily the ICP, is because every single marketing asset you're ever going to produce is based off that person. So whenever you get an experience, like a hook or a YouTube video, lead magnet, sales call, whatever it is an experience. That experience, whatever it is, it gets passed through that ICP's paradigm, their current belief system. And depending on whether it matches that paradigm, it either gets people closer to making the decisions you want them to make or further away. If this is something that go further away. It's only when you are able to understand exactly the person you're speaking to, so you can appeal exactly to what they want and match their desires and pain points, that you're able to give them to expose them to the right experiences, so that you can have alignment and therefore get them to make the correct decision, which is paying in full, watch another video, whatever it may be. So you pretty much reverse engineer your goal, which is this thing right here, through your ICP to figure out what experience you should put in front of them, what stimulus you should put in front of them for them to do what you want them to do. Pretty simple. Now, what that means is that the better you can understand the ICP with more depth, we're going to get to in a second, the more you can optimize the experience to always confirm the right beliefs. Saying that your ICP is 20 to 30 year old men who want to make money online, it's not an actual ICP. It's just a description of, like, a very brief description of a person. It's like, who they are, what they want to achieve. This doesn't really give you too much data to work with, to synthesize content, to reverse engineer content that you should wait to get them to make the correct decisions. Okay, it doesn't give you enough data. So you might say that, oh, if I go deeper into my ICP, I'm going to become too niche, and then I'm going to be niching down way too much, and I'm not going to be able to get any traction. Well, there's a fundamental difference between depth and width, and most people, I think, are confusing the two. So I want you to think of your ICP as like a cylinder which we can control two variables on. We can control width, so how many people are we appealing to? Are we very niche or are we very broad? Think about the ratio between this and this. The smaller this is in comparison to this, the more the depth resonates and the more sophisticated you become. When you grow, you're gonna reach a point where it's like, okay, I can no longer grow within this niche that I've positioned myself in, so you gotta expand. But until you reach that point, there's no reason for you not to be a bit more niche, if that makes sense. So fundamentally, you want to be not too niche, but you want to be niche still. But regardless of which one you choose, you have to create depth, because depth is the only thing that influences this ratio with the highest leverage. This kind of influences it, but this is the main thing. Unless you have this, nothing else works. It's simply an amplifier of the width, if that makes sense. So how do you gain that understanding? How do you gain depth? Because it's easy to create width and make it tighter, because you can just add more specific situational variables, like I want to be this, doing this job, whatever it may be. But it's hard to create depth. So how do you create depth? Well, you create depth by getting data. Before we collect data, I need to ask you a very fundamental question. Do you want to attract people who will pay you, or do you want to attract people who will not pay you? At least that easily. Well, if you're not retarded, you're going to say, oh, I want to attract people who want to pay me. So why would you get data and feedback from people that have not paid you? Or why would you get feedback from comments? Or from a random Indian who is never going to pay you? Why would you really care about that? Because by using that as genuine feedback, what you do is you optimize your content for people that will not pay you, most likely. It can still actually be good feedback, but most of the time it's not, and it's just going to attract more of that person, it doesn't make sense, who will not pay you. And so the way you solve this, right, is very fucking simple. You just look at the people who have paid you, and you ask them the questions. Or you look at the people that have paid you, and you figure out what they were believing before they paid you. So you're still meeting them at the point where they're watching your content. Now, hearing this sentence right here, you might say that, oh, if I only speak to people that have the beliefs I want them to have in order to buy, then first of all, do I actually need to shift in beliefs, or can I just DM them and get them to buy from me? And also, do these people even exist? Well, getting feedback from people that page you does not mean that you are going to attract people that are ready to be sent a payment and convert. All that will be great, but it doesn't mean that. It means that you are simply trying to find the person who needs the least amount of belief shifting in order to pay you. Fundamentally, because why would you want to shift more beliefs in someone and spend more time trying to convert them? There's no reason for you to do that. So pretty much, you get feedback from people that pay you, and as you expand, naturally, you're gonna have to expand to different awareness levels. You're gonna have to expand into problem aware and maybe even non-aware, where you have to have a bigger paradigm shift. But until you reach that point, you may think that, oh, I just need to shift the beliefs. There's no point in shifting the beliefs if you can just target people who already have shifted beliefs. Literally simple as that. So you want to aim for the minimum viable belief shift. Pretty cool name. So pretty much, the more you go, the larger that guy gets. Pretty simple. Now, how do you get this data? Well, you get it in two ways. You get it through sales calls and onboarding forms. For sales calls, all you want to do, using the principle I was talking about, you want to go to Fathom, you want to find sales calls, which closed, very important. Even if they give you objections, these will still close, so it's pretty valuable. So you want to find every single sales call that closed. You want to get like 5 or even 10 of them, depending on how much Claude credits you have. So what you do is you then take the transcripts, you go to, let's say, call, like this, one of my clients, you go to this, you copy the transcript, then you go to fucking Claude, whatever, and you paste the thing. Or no, we did not copy it. And you copy the transcript. What you then do is you go to Claude and you paste this in, and you do this 5 or 10 times. Now, you could also give it, let's say, maybe 5 onboarding calls or coaching calls to really give some specific context about their problems, which is more than the sales call. Now, once you have all of that in Claude, what you do, pretty simple. You want to go to Fathom, or fuck me, you want to set up a form that pretty much you want people to fill out right after the sales call. And in the form, let me show you an example of one of our clients. So pretty much, first question we ask, very simple, what's your name? Then email, this is just like for the sake of me showing the question. Next one is, what business do they run? Because this is an identity coach, pretty much, and he's targeting B2B, which means that we need to know what business they run. For you, it could be, let's say, which level they're at, or which you're gonna be here, like, which level are they at, or like exactly what they do. So you can use that to know exactly the type of person that usually buys from you. Then we have, where did you find me? Very important, so you can just lean on that. Instagram, let's say. The first that made me stand out. Exactly, this literally tells you what the people who paid you find unique about you. Meaning you can just, again, lean on that in your content to get more people to pay you. Simple as that. Next question. Silly, this is kind of slow feedback. Okay, before you find it, how would you have described what was actually holding you back? This literally tells us exactly how they are viewing their problem. Meaning that we can just repeat this word for word and just get them to watch our content, trust us, and convert. Next one. So, what had you already tried? This again gives us context that we can use to become relatable. Not relatable, but we can use to show them that we genuinely understand what they're going through. And if we understand it, then we're indirectly showcasing them that we know how to solve the problem, creating value indirectly. So, next question. What finally made you book the call? This directly tells you exactly why they do book the call and why they don't book the call. Because usually what happens with content, right, is that people, they watch your content, they watch, let's say, the top of funnel, middle of funnel, but they get stuck at bottom of funnel. And the reason they get stuck is because there's these specific little beliefs that are holding them back. They just need to like confirm or deny to finally take that step. And if you know exactly what these beliefs are, then you can directly attack them instead of attacking all these different things, so that you can get the person to reach this trust level faster and get on the call and then trust you more and then pay you. Next question. So before booking and showing up, did any part of you want to back out? This tells you exactly why they will not show up. Meaning, again, you can use that. You can deny all these beliefs in your content, your bottom funnel content, to guarantee that they show up. Then we got how long did it take you to decide to work with me? Is it within the same day? Is it within a week, 1 to 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, or longer than that? You need to know exactly how long it's taking to work with you, so that you know exactly how long someone takes to go from a cold lead to paying in full, and you can then use that to measure how effectively everything else we're doing is working. Is it getting longer? Is it getting shorter? Is it whatever? This just allows you to track things, and it's very important. Then, right before you paid, what was the last thing making you hesitate? What objection was like this last one, this little belief that just held them back from paying? Again, you can leverage all majority of that, mainly your middle funnel, bottom funnel content, to just remove all of that so that the closure doesn't have to send a payment link. That's the goal, kind of. And the next question is simply beginning on that, like exactly how they describe the belief, because if we can understand exactly and precisely what's holding them back, we can precisely and exactly know what we need to do to diffuse it, and to cancel it, and to deny it, so that we can pay us. Pretty simple. Now, finally, what got you across the line to pay? Like, what was the last thing that actually shifted that final belief to get them to pay? So that the whole purpose of majority of the things that are in here are just telling you what you need to lean on, mainly bottom funnel content, so that you get the right people to pay you. Because usually what happens, when people find themselves in this diminishing return stage of trust, for the remaining, let's say, 60% of the conversion cycle, their trust for you doesn't really increase too much. So you had all of this momentum here. Like, yeah, they were getting, let's say, 50% trust for you every single day. But then for this last majority of the conversion cycle, you really didn't have too much momentum, which meant that their relative trust for you wasn't really that much, because you also got to factor in that they were also watching other people probably, and the market was growing. So the trust might have just stayed stagnant, or it could have even decreased. And the thing is, the longer that person stays stuck in this final bottom of funnel stage, the more likely they're to just drop out. And if this just becomes too large, they're gonna go to someone else, and they're gonna give you objections, so they're not gonna pay. And so by figuring out exactly what's holding them stuck there, you can simply target precisely that, so you can diffuse it and deny it. That way, more of the better people actually pay you. Next one is a very important question, because as info business owners, we want to maximize LTV. Kind of like a buzzword, but we do want it, right? So how do we fundamentally maximize LTV? We get people to pay us more. Simple. So we need to charge people as much as they can possibly tolerate. This might not be completely ethical, but if you see it from like a pressure perspective, the more you charge, the more pressure they have, so the more likely they are to get results. So you're good. So the reason we ask this question is to just like, can we charge more? Can we, viably charge more? And what do we need to charge more? So if this is, let's say, yes, but all industries improve, we're like, okay, what would you need to see, and what more would have need to happen for you to pay more? Because if we learn about that from the people that have actually paid us, not people that are broke, then we can actually figure out what we need to do to get them to pay us more. Pretty simple. Next question is, before you sign up, how convinced are you? Simply put, this is telling you how much leverage your closer had on the call. Because if they were, let's say, at 7 or 8, then your closer did it too. Doesn't mean the closer is bad, it's just that you were able to really shift majority of the beliefs to your content. So your closer was able to be very efficient and on target the last two that were really hard and had the most leverage. Next question is, what could I have done to get you to say yes sooner? And again, this is telling you exactly what you need to do to get more people to pay you more money sooner. Business paradise. Great. So final question, what do you need the most help with right now? Because by doing this, if you also take the answer from here and leverage it in, let's say, your bottom funnel content, whatever content you have, literally, you're helping them with the thing they're actually looking for. So you're creating more trust, fundamentally. Pretty simple, no need to overcomplicate the shit. So you have that, this was just an example, and you create a sheet or like a database, Google Sheets or Typeform, whatever. You take the CSV and you throw it in the cloud along with all the sales calls. And now here's the fun part. What you do is, what I do with this is I have this skill, the ICP default paradigm synthesizer. I need to change the name, but I use the skill, and pretty much what it does is it takes all of that and it gives me an incredibly detailed markdown document of exactly who my ICP is or who the client ICP is, depending on the situation. Right? So this is an example of what I just built a couple hours ago. And as you can see, this is my ICP right here. As you can see, it is incredibly deep. There is literally almost everything that I could possibly know about you, I know. Meaning that I can specifically speak to you in a way that makes you listen, fundamentally. And it's something we do for our clients. Now, using this, what we then do, because it's very nice to have this thing and just ICP max, but that alone won't bring you cash. Because the only reason we really need this ICP is so that we can change those beliefs. Because we can't change beliefs if we don't know what already they're fundamentally. So, to actually get to the fun part, what you do is you download this from Cloud or you go to the project, whatever. What you then do, you open a new chat and you simply tell Cloud what decision you want the ICP to make at which stage. For example, could be clicking on a button to book in a call, could be sending you a specific keyword on Instagram with a lead magnet, could be watching a video, could be clicking a funnel, whatever. Whatever decision that you have to make, either macro or micro, which I'm going to get in a second, within your pipeline. So you give Cloud the ICP plus decision, and then you attach this inversion rate conversion skill to it. And what this does is it pretty much looks at your ICP, and it fundamentally understands every single belief that would prevent them from making that decision by increasing the pain of action and decreasing the pain of inaction. So every single belief that is going to influence the decision. So what is it essentially? Is it figures out exactly why people will not make the decision you want them to make, and then just flips that so that you literally know exactly what you need to do, exactly what beliefs you need to be confirming and denying, through exactly which experience you need to be doing this, to get them to make a decision. And the more you understand your ICP, the higher the quality of this. Meaning that the only thing that you actually need to be focusing on, or the highest level you can do, is just collecting more context, more quality context on that ICP. Because it literally influences every single thing about your brand, your content, your whatever you want to call this thing, okay? So we can take this one level further, because by doing this, right, you're just doing this for every single individual decision. But the problem is that your funnel, as I think I can show you in here, as you can see right here, when it comes to system thinking, everything is interconnected. And so if you're simply thinking about every single individual decision, and it's like standalone thing, what happens is that you might influence one belief on one decision, but you might not be aware of the influence it has on another decision that's gonna come later. For example, if you wanted to optimize, your booking rate, you could just say that, this is an extreme example, if you want to optimize your booking rate, you could just say that, oh, in this call, I'm going to whatever, I'm gonna spend the next 10 hours giving you a complete game plan on exactly what you need to do to solve your problem, okay? Now this would get people to hop on calls, but when you told them that they would have to pay you 10K for consulting, then, there would be like this huge discrepancy between their expectation and what you actually deliver. So you gotta be aware that everything's interconnected. So what do? Well, you have to do this, these tables, where are they? You have to create these tables, but on a bigger scale, a macro and micro scale. So what you do is you use the ICP, this same skill, and a program built as well, and you build pretty much a map of every single macro and micro decision that your ICP has to make to go from a totally cold lead to paying in full. And then for every single one of those macro and micro decisions, it builds out the 4 tables exactly as you can see right here. So pretty much the whole thesis behind this is that if you understand what beliefs make someone not make the decision that you want and not take action, and what confirms those beliefs, so what do you need to do to make someone not pay you, then you can just do the opposite to get them to pay you. Literally simple as that. But this here, we're just doing it on a bigger scale. Like every single belief that could make them not take the action, both by increasing the pain of action and decreasing the pain of inaction, and the opposites, which literally tells you both how to directly change the belief and also indirectly, which is very, very powerful. So now, for this client, we know exactly what we need to do to get someone to convert. So he can put all of his energy into creating genuinely good content and creating a genuinely unique mechanism that actually helps people, knowing that we can be intentional with this by just looking at this thing right here. And the cool thing, the crazy thing, is that the more context you have on your ISP naturally, right, the more money you're gonna get. So like the more clients you're gonna get, and the more clients you get, the more context you have, the more like information and context, okay? Which means you're gonna get more clients, more money, more context, and it just loops. Meaning that if you can just extract as much context as possible from people that have paid you, you're literally going to compound so fucking fast. It's crazy. It's the literally only thing that I want you to focus on. Just focus on getting as much data as possible from that person, and then use the data this way to print money. Pretty simple. Now, I guess this is the point where I'm supposed to tell you to like DM me something on Instagram to get these prompts and shit and skills. So that's what I'm gonna do. So pretty much, if you want the prompts to build the ICP by using the process I was referring to previously, and also create these tables along with this fucking cool map, what you can do is you can DM me the word system on Instagram, cliche I know, and I'm gonna send you every single thing that you can see right here so you can build this whole thing out and start printing. So yeah, go DM me. Buy my course. Take care.